Hey guys, we are here at my setup today and we're going to be walking through the new pattern making rulers and all the updates that I made to them. So let's get right into it. So when you open up the pattern making rulers, you will see this. This is the main Illustrator document, and you can go straight from this document and copy and paste these into any other document that you're working on. That's kind of the quick and easy way to get set up. Inside of the bundle that comes with your purchase, you'll see there's a user guide. You can go through that to kind of see the different ways, but I'm going to walk through everything in this video today. So the new updates are that I've added a new hip curve ruler. This is similar to the Variform curve ruler, but you can see that they're a little bit different, and a lot of people tend to use this hip curve over here on the left hand side, and so I've included that as well. And now we also have every single ruler with centimeters, and I've marked the centimeters down to the 10th. So it's not just like half centimeters, it's all the way down to the 10th. As you can see here, everything's marked and everything is to scale. So you can use these rulers directly. You don't need to scale them or anything for any of your patterns. Like I said, you can go directly from this document and just copy and paste it into whatever document that you're working in. And that is, you know, kind of the easiest way to get started with these. But I want to show you how to upload your rulers into your Illustrator library. So inside of your bundle, there is an Illustrator library document. It's also labeled as .ai, but you will see it says -library. And what we're going to do is we need to add that to our Illustrator library before we can access it. So if you just try to open it directly, it's going to open blank and say, you know, this is made as a library file, like you can't open it like this. So you don't want to open it directly in Illustrator. We want to drag and drop it into our Illustrator library. And so I'm going to show you how to do that on both PC and Mac. So here's how we are going to do that on a PC. So I already have a tutorial on how to do this, but I get a lot of questions on how do I figure out what my file path is to figure out where my library is, like where my Illustrator library actually is inside of my computer. So I want to show you a really great little shortcut. It's so easy to find your file path no matter what computer you're on, no matter what your file path is, because for everyone it's going to be a little bit different. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go into our symbol library or our brush library. I'm going to do our symbol library because that's what we're using for these pattern making rulers, for example. And what we're going to do is we're going to tap on the top right hand corner, the three little lines, and we're going to go down to save symbol library. It doesn't matter what's inside of your little symbol window right now. We're just using this to find the file path. So we're going to click on save symbol library and you'll see this box pop up. And what's great about a PC is that it shows the file path here at the top. And I'll show you how to do this on a Mac in just a second. But we can actually just go in and copy and paste our file path. But if you don't want to, you know, copy and paste it, you can also just be like, oh, okay, I need to go to Natalie, App Data, Roaming, Adobe Illustrator, NUS, x64, and then to symbols. But I'm just going to copy and paste it because it's a lot easier. So what I'm going to do is then just hit cancel because we don't want to save this symbol library. And I'm going to open up a new file finder window, and I'm just going to copy and paste what I had copied before and hit enter, and you'll see I already have a symbol library that's in here. Then all we have to do is open up that bundle of files that you'll get when you download your digital pattern making rulers, and we just want to drag and drop the one that's labeled library into that other folder. So just drag and drop it, and then you can go back to Illustrator, and all you have to do now is go down to the three little books in the left hand corner of the symbol library window, and we're going to click on that. It's like a little stack of 3 books, and then we're going to go down to user defined, and you'll see that we can now click on that library that we just entered in. It says Digital Patternmaking Curved Rulers -library, and I can just click on that and it pulls up the window of all of the rulers as symbols. All right, so now here I am on my Mac, and I just want to show you the shortcut for finding your file path on Mac. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up that symbol window again. You can go up to the top right hand corner, the 3 lines, go down to save symbol library. It doesn't matter what is inside of your library right now. We're just using it to figure out the file path. And what you can do on Mac, which is great, is you can just scroll over and see where your file path is and just make note of that file path and save it for later. So for me, it would be users, Natalie, library, application support, Adobe Illustrator 26, NUS, and symbols. And then I would drag and drop it into this symbols area. after I've canceled out of this. Or the other option you can use on Mac is you can just click on your main screen behind you. You can go up to Go and hit the Option key, and you'll see Library pop up here. So when I hit the Option key, Library pops up. Click on Library, and then you can go from there and go into, so it's kind of like a shortcut, right? So it took me to Users, Natalie Smith, Library, and then to Application Support, then to Adobe Illustrator 26, NUS, and then down to Symbols, and I can drag and drop the library file into here, and it'll be accessible inside of my Illustrator document. So now let me go over to my pattern making document, and I've labeled all of them so you can just hover over it and see which one's inches and which one's centimeters and what ruler it is. So I can just pull that into my document, and now I can manipulate it, turn it to whatever direction I want, and use it to create the curves inside of my Illustrator document. And you can do that in any file. So that is the benefit of having a symbol library, is that you don't need to go back to that original file or open that original file every single time. Now that library is inside of your Illustrator program, so it doesn't matter what file you're in, you can go into any document, any Illustrator file, and you can just drag and drop that item into your Illustrator file. Now, I have had some cases where people who are using really old versions of Illustrator, typically below CS6, aren't able to upload the library document to their Illustrator program. It still shows up blank. So I'm going to show you a little workaround for how to fix that if that's the case for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up that original AI file. You should be able to open this no problem. If you are having problems opening this, if you're using an older version of Illustrator, just let me know. It is saved as a legacy file, so you shouldn't have any problems, but just send me an email and I can help you work through it. What we're going to do is we're going to open up that symbol window. If it's not docked here on your right hand side, you can go up to Window and then go down to Symbols and click this, and you'll see it pop up. And what we're going to do is delete any symbols out of here that you don't want. So make sure that this is a clear area or is only including the things that you want. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag and drop each of these items into the symbol window, and you'll see a little pop-up come up where you can name the ruler. I'm just going to put test ruler. You want to change it to be a graphic, and you can keep it as a dynamic symbol. For the purposes that we're using, it really doesn't matter if it's dynamic or static. And then you can hit OK, and you'll see it be added there. So once you've added all of the rulers into that window, then you can just go up to those 3 lines that we were talking about before, and you can go down to Save Symbol Library and choose the name of the library that you want, and then just hit save. And if you're on your own system and making it yourself in your own system, then it'll automatically save into your Illustrator program, but you can also choose to save it somewhere else, like in your documents or something if you wanted. You can also use the plus button at the bottom of the symbol library window to add a symbol. So I can just highlight this and hit the plus sign. Same thing happens. I choose to drag and drop. I just think it is easier and makes more sense. But if you are having issues adding the symbol library, the digital pattern making symbol library, to your program, you can easily just create your own library yourself. So you can still have that benefit of being able to use the rulers in any document without having to worry if you are on an older version of Illustrator. So now that we've gone through how to download and access the rulers, I want to show you some tips for how to use these pattern making rulers if you're not familiar with using curved rulers. So using curved rulers is a really important part of pattern making to make sure that you're making the right curves for your pattern. So I'm just going to show you some of the basic ones, but there's lots of different ways that you can use these curved rulers. They're essentially set up so that you can use them for anything that's curved. So if you were making like, I don't know, like ruffles or some like crazy style detail, you can use these rulers for those things, but their main purposes are for making the things that we're about to talk about. So let's talk about the French curve first. I'm just going to pull the French curve into my document. What it's mainly used for is creating armholes. And you can see here that I already have this armhole created, but I can fit this right in here. It's a little bit varied because you always want to make sure that where something is connecting is a 90-degree angle. So you will have some little like changes obviously that you'll make, but I can also just transform and reflect the ruler to change the direction of it. So if I wanted to do a back armhole, then I can do that like this. And what you're doing is when you're plotting out a pattern, you're just connecting the dots with this pattern making ruler. And then you can use these as well for creating your sleeve cap too. And there are some specific methods for how to use the pattern making rulers and kind of like what is standard. So if you're not familiar with that, I definitely recommend investing in a pattern making textbook. I talk about that in a lot of my tutorials, or checking out just some of my pattern making tutorials, because you'll see kind of how I do that. And then another important part of the pattern that the French curve is used for is the neck. One of the most important things about using the curved rulers is that, yes, you want to, so let's say I have, you know, my points here, here, and here that I'm lining up using this ruler. I want to make sure that it is ending at any place that's like on the fold or a side seam or a center back seam or something like that, that it's ending at a 90-degree angle. So you can check that by just creating a square, and that'll show you that, yep, we're ending at a 90-degree angle. Or you can also pay attention to where the markings are on the ruler, because they're always at a 90-degree angle to the edge of the ruler. And the reason for that is if you make something that's not 90 degrees and you unfold it, for example, you're going to have it either pitched up like a caret or pitched down like a divot. And so we want to make sure that it's just straight across when we are especially doing something on the fold or somewhere where our seams are connecting. So the back neck is a great example of this, because we are using the curved ruler to make the curve of the neck, but then we are making a straight line right here where the center back is going to meet in the middle. And that is standard of creating a back neckline. All right, so let's look at the hip curve rulers. This is a Variform hip curve ruler, and I prefer to use these, especially when I'm working on patterns that have like more curve to them, or there's like a bigger variation between the bust, the waist, and the hips, because this like more curved top part is going to help you easier in finding kind of where that point is. So if we were working on a pattern on paper, we would just slide our ruler, keeping the straight part of the ruler down here level with the edge of the garment, and then moving it up until we hit our marking point, which is up here. So when the ruler meets that marked point up here, then we know, okay, we can make our curved line. So you're going to use it for your hip curve, and then you can also use it for your waist on both your top and on your skirt or your pants. So we can use this ruler to connect between our side seam and where our dart is. And you can also use these to kind of like unfold darts and make sure that your dart excess is accurate. So I'm not going to show you how to do all of that, but you can use this to create your waistline on your skirt or pant, and also up on your bodice. But some people really do like to use the standard hip curve ruler, especially if you're making items that are not as curved, or doing like a more straight body type. These can be really nice. I find that they are a little bit harder for me to use personally, but I know a lot of people love them and use them all the time. So you're following the same kind of concept as we just talked about with the Variform hip curve ruler. We are just going to kind of move this to intersect those different points that we have, and then we'll draw our hip curve to meet those points. So now I want to show you how you can use the rulers to actually create the line. So the ones that we just talked about are some applications for each of the rulers, but this is how you actually are going to put the line where it needs to go. So this is a torso foundation with a princess bodice that we're drafting from it. Okay, so we've done all of the work, yada, yada, yada. And now we are here, we're ready to plot our final princess bodice. And so we need to use the French curve ruler, and we need to make our bust shape. So I'm going to show you how to do that, or do part of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this to about where this point right here and this point right here, and add the curve like this. So I'm just going to make it approximate, since this is just to show you an example. But what we're going to do is you can either So this is where our line is going to be. We can either draw over the top of it with the pen tool, just like that. And I'll make that red so that you can see it. So we can either just draw over the top like that, or the way that I prefer to do it is that I will just break the link if it's in the program as a symbol. If you've just copy and pasted, you can just click into the group. So after you break the link, then you can click into the group, and then it is grouped. All of the text and lines are grouped so that you can select them, and then I'm just going to hit the delete. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this line where I need it, and then just delete the rest of the ruler. And then I have my line there already, and I'll make this a different color so that you can see it. Let's just make it bigger and make it pink. So now you can just really quickly and easily put that curved line where you need it instead of having to draw over the top of it. It's really whatever you prefer. I prefer to do it that way, but what we would do obviously is follow that same process for creating the rest of this bodice pattern and putting those curves into the pattern so that you know, it reflects the shape of the bust. And that's why these rulers are so great. They're so standardized that they can really be used for so many different applications. You can use them for curved darts. You can use them for boat darts. You can use them for something like this, like a princess bodice or a shaped bust. There's so many different applications for them. So really the sky's the limit. So feel free to be creative with them. All right, so I think that's everything. If you guys have questions, definitely comment down below, or you can always send me an email at hello@pointsofmeasure.com. You can find these digital pattern making rulers in the shop, and I'm also going to be going through some different programs that you can use these in, like Clo3D, Affinity Designer, Inkscape, and I'm going to talk more about that later on in some different videos, but I'm including different file types inside of this bundle so that you can use it inside of those programs. And if you want to learn more about that, definitely go check out the product description so that you can figure out if it's going to be right for your program. You can always ask me too if you have a specific file type that you need, and I can let you know if that is possible. All right, thank you so much. Bye.